has won. It's the loneliest number since the number one.
Okay.
So what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to talk about managing stress, recovery and overtraining. We're going to be looking at how to recognize when an individual is overtrained, and then also strategies to manage said overtraining.
Okay, so how would you know when someone's overtrained?
Okay, so we're going to categorize overtraining in 3 stages, basically getting progressively worse as we go, stage 1, 2 and 3. First stage is going to be overreaching. This would be when we see a slight dip in our performance when we're training. Normally the kind of thing we see before we go into a deload block, or a deload week even, dip in performance, maybe we've got like a cold that just won't go away, niggly injuries, things like that. When you're starting to feel beat down, but it's not irreversible, there's nothing like wrong with that. You can stop training and start feeling much better. Then we're going into stage 2, compensation. This is where things are starting to progress a lot worse, and it's starting to almost create this point of irreversible damage. Cortisol levels are chronically higher, and also our adrenals are working overtime. So basically, when our adrenals are working harder, it means that this dip in performance that we were feeling before will actually go away, and we'll start feeling better for a little bit. But that's just because our body's in this fight or flight state where it's just really trying to make you feel better. It thinks we're under lots and lots of stress, and all you're doing at this point is just walking a tightrope before going into that last stage. At this point, things like your sleep are going to be affected, your metabolism, you're not going to be digesting your food or processing it the same, so your energy efficiencies are all going to be off. This is reversible, but we're getting to the point where it won't be.
But you might do some sort of long-term damage in this state still.
Yeah, definitely. Another point as well, which would be really important for athletes who are quite concerned about their body composition, is going to be that these chronically raised levels of cortisol are going to increase our levels of insulin as well, which is going to increase the fat storage from the food we eat. So if you're someone who's training really hard, but you're also very concerned about your body composition, these levels of stress are just going to make you store more fat.
It's just a downward spiral, basically.
Pretty much from this point, you're downward spiraling. Yeah. So if your mood isn't very consistent, and even if just how you're feeling, like if you wake up in the morning and you feel pretty groggy and awful, and it takes you a long while to get going, then you're having another big dip later in the day, it's probably going to suggest to you maybe your cortisol levels are a bit high and you're not managing that amazingly. And like I say, at this stage of compensation, this is where the recovery strategies, things like that, are going to be really, really important to try and reverse this downward spiral that we're going through. Stage 3 of overtraining. Right, now we're looking at doing irreversible damage to ourselves. This stage is overtraining in its entirety. Okay, we're looking at doing emotional, psychological damage. We're looking at doing damage to our muscles. We're looking at creating metabolic imbalances, and we're looking at long-term adrenal dysfunction. Okay, at this point, you need to just completely remove yourself from exercise and just start recovering. Otherwise, you're just going to keep doing more damage to yourself. People get here because they're just so motivated. They have this goal in mind and they don't care what they feel like. They just keep working, keep going towards it. And often it's more the case that they need someone to step in, like a coach, and just be like, you need to step back, you need to recover, you're actually harming yourself now.
Often in CrossFit, there's this stimulus that more is better. This ethos of more is better. Right?
Yeah.
It's just not the case.
It's not. Yeah, we're way past that.
Yeah.
We're literally like, you're moving on from that then. So they're the 3 stages of overtraining and kind of the downward spiral that it can create. Obviously, up to stage 2, you can reverse these at any point. Obviously, people are going to have different extents of overtraining, how much damage they've actually done to themselves by just not listening to their bodies. But right now, we're going to talk about some strategies to manage stress and manage overtraining. To start with is going to be macro strategies. These are the building blocks to recovery, okay? These are the 2 most important factors that are, apart from training itself, that are going to be helping you recover, helping you get better, okay? Sleep is the first one. I keep banging on about it. It's really, really important. This is when we're going to be getting huge amounts of growth hormone release, our body's recovering, and also our brain. to do with sport, like obviously you're using your body, you're using it to exercise and perform, but if your head and your body aren't in check, you're going to be struggling. Like there's a massive mental side to a lot of sports, and you need the sleep to also help you recover there too. We're looking at trying to get over 8 hours sleep a night. I would set that as an absolute bare minimum, and then we're looking at improving our sleep hygiene. Check our Instagram for a post about that recently. Sleep hygiene, we're looking at low caffeine consumption coming up to sleep, maybe like an 8-hour buffer time, low blue light exposure. So we're talking about screens, bright lights that don't have any kind of shade on them, things like that. Lowering our exposure to that blue light 2 hours before sleep. Blackout blinds, okay, keeping a nice cool environment. All those things are on that post, and you can try and implement those to help improve your sleep, okay. So sleep's the most important thing. Second on my list is going to be nutrition, okay. This is going to be massively dependent based on sport, gender, age, all these kind of things. Also whatever training cycle you're in, if you want to get into real large amounts of detail. But basically this is the fuel to fuel your body. A lot of people, a lot of the time, can actually think their diet's good and they think they have a fair bit of knowledge, but it can actually be off in ways. So I'd probably say getting professional guidance on this is massively important if you're really serious about that. Are we eating enough food? Are we eating the right amount of food? Obviously, this is going to be a little bit dependent upon your sport, but one of the most important short-term things to get in place when we're looking at nutrition is the resynthesis of the body's carbohydrate stores. This is going to be massively important for people who are performing in multi-stage events. So we're looking at like athletics, when you're doing multiple heats in a day. Obviously that changes a little bit. CrossFit, you might be working for up to 3 days doing multiple events. You need to just keep replenishing, keep recovering, so you're not tapping into those almost like stress stores while you're trying to compete and keep yourself fresh. And then alongside that, rehydration is going to be really, really important. Electrolytes, things like that, keeping our salt levels high so we don't suffer from cramping or any of the other negative effects associated with being dehydrated. And then just rest. When you're away from the events, obviously you're doing the nutrition and things like that, but you want to try and keep yourself low, keep yourself in check emotionally. That's everything for the macro strategies. Sleep, nutrition, got to be on point. Okay, so to accompany these building blocks that are the macro strategies for recovery, we're going to be looking at some micro strategies now. Okay, so first one is going to be cryotherapy. A little bit of a controversial topic in today's kind of sports world. I would say cryotherapy really important for people with a high training load going into a competition that they're peaking for. So maybe if you're only competing 2-3 times a year, it would be important to use cryotherapy. And then also people who do multi-day events, cryotherapy important. What it's going to do for you is you're going to submerge yourself in cold like ice water, so like an ice bath, or use a cryo chamber, plunge pool. And what it's going to do is vasoconstrict all the muscles, and basically it's going to help you clear all that like metabolic debris out of your muscles. And then when you then warm up again, you're going to get fresh blood flow coming through, delivering nutrients to the muscle. It's also going to help reduce inflammation around your joints and in your muscles, so that you actually feel better as a result of it. Now, the reason it's a little controversial is over long-term use, using cryotherapy, it's actually been shown that by reducing the inflammation in your joints and your muscles, you don't get as good adaptation to your training. So it's one of those things where it's a good tool, but only use it case dependent and when it is really important. Yeah. The next one's going to be massage therapy, basically sports massage. This can be really important for assisting blood flow and also in kind of improving your mobility and the way you feel. Same kind of principle to that cryotherapy is it's all about trying to deliver blood to the muscles. So by having a massage, clearing those adhesions in the muscle, getting everything moving much better, we're going to improve that blood flow, and we're also, a lot of people feel a lot better after having a massage as well. Next point is active recovery. This can be different based on person to person. Some people might like a really long sweaty workout as active recovery. Others might actually like muscle activation work. It's important that you do things that you don't find hard in any means. You do things that assist you to move, assist you to move, increase that blood flow, help build proprioception, coordination, things like this. And then you leave the gym feeling better than when you came in. You're not adding work. You're actually just doing stuff to try and assist the way you're feeling and assist the recovery process. I know personally for myself, if I went and sat on the bike for 30 minutes, I actually probably wouldn't feel better than if I'd actually done some kind of body weight movements, a little bit of movement flow stuff. Okay. Next micro strategy is electro muscle stimulation. So like a TENS machine, Compex is probably the most prevalent in the market, Power Dot kind of thing like that. This is same again, it's all about blood flow. You're stimulating the muscle, it's getting worked, but your CNS isn't getting taxed because you're not actually doing the exercise yourself. An external object is stimulating that muscle and helping recruit those fibers, bring blood to the area. And then the final one is compression. Another one that's a little bit controversial, but some people feel like it really helps. Maybe like sleeping in some compression clothing, like a pair of leggings or something like that, or like calf compression, can be seen to improve blood flow. What's going to be important with all of these micro strategies, and I'm not by any means suggesting that we implement all of them. Some of them have a lot more research than others, but if you have a strategy that you feel like helps you recover, it's definitely worth going for it. Whether it's placebo, whether it is actually a massive increase in your recovery, go for it. Anything that makes you feel better is going to benefit you massively mentally, and it probably has a good physical effect too. And that's it. That's it for our stress and recovery video.
Okay, brilliant. Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely.